Hi, my name is Sarish Sudhakaran, and in this video, I'll talk about three-point lighting. But first, a confession. When I started learning about three-point lighting, I watched tons of videos and read hundreds of articles online. I learned a lot from them, but none of them, not a single one, could tell me why the hell should I use three-point lighting, or who said it's the right way to go. Now, I've been a filmmaker for 14 years, but I've yet to come across any person or book or video that tells you where three-point lighting originates from and why you should care. This is that video. Let's start simple. Let's start sun. Our planet is lit by one sun. Even at night, the moon acts like a giant reflector, but we're still being lit by the sun. So if you want to see anything at all, you need at least one light source. When we're indoors, we can set up a room with window light. If it's night, we turn on artificial lights so we can see who else is in the room. This main source of light, the source that illuminates your subject and is responsible for exposure, is called the key light. Now, what's so special about the word key? Nothing really. Every industry invents terms for things to ease communication between professionals. There's no branded light called key. You can't walk into a store and order a key light. So just remember, the main light source responsible for exposure is your key light. Right now, I'm being lit by one light. That's why you can see my face, so that's my key light. The key light is the first point in our three-point lighting system. Now what's the second point? Here are a few videos of yours truly walking around, shot on my cell phone, and some shots from projects I've done recently, none of which were lit artificially. Notice something? The sun bounces around, reflects and passes through things to create interesting effects on our faces. The type of effects it creates are infinite. You look one way and you see one effect. You look in another direction and the pattern changes. Any surface becomes a potential light source. Maybe a glass building, maybe a signpost, a computer screen, even the ground or road. Some of these effects have names. For example, when the light hits you from the back at an angle, we call it a slash light or kicker light. If it's from the side, we call it a rim light. If it's just focused on the eyes, we call it an eye light. Again, just industry terms, nothing special about the names. If you've been watching my Understanding Cinematography series of videos, you know how great cinematographers achieve signature effects this way. Now, what's the use of a second light? Exactly, what's the use? The second light needs to be motivated, or it has no reason to be. Is there a second lamp in the room? Are there cars passing by? Is the character sitting on sand on a beach? Is there a kerosene lamp in their hands? The second light in our three-point lighting system is motivated light. When it's motivated, it looks natural, and with your skill, maybe even good. When it's unmotivated and you're just throwing it in there because you think three-point lighting is a checklist and you need to tick off each box, it's gonna look weird. In real life, during day or night, we see these light leaks motivated from so many sources. Our brains are so used to this, we don't even notice it. But here's something you can do right now. Go outside, take a long walk during day or at night, watch people's faces and ask yourself, how am I able to see this person's face at all? The answer is your key light. Then ask yourself, what other lighting effects are happening and what's causing them? That's motivated light. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're not. The third light in our system is what you see when you face the sun. This means you're putting the strongest light behind your subject. The strongest light isn't the key light. The key light is the light that illuminates your face. So if the sun is behind your subject, they're silhouetted. But in real life, sunlight bounces off everything, and you hardly see complete black. You do see features on a person's face. How's that possible? It's possible because our eyes can see 20 stops of dynamic range in one go, as I've explained in an article earlier. Our eyes fill in the shadows for us. It had better, or we'd miss dangerous things lurking in the shadows. It's only when the contrast is too much, like a subject is directly against the sun in silhouette or standing in a shady dark corner between bright street lights, that we don't really see anything. But if we walk towards it, you'll see what's there. The light there didn't change, our eyes changed. That's because our eyes can adjust and see a total of 30 stops of dynamic range, but only around 20 in one go. Read the article I linked to and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So what happens when you have turned your subjects back to the sun? It creates an outline of light around your head. This is called a rim light if all you want is an outline. If all you want it to do is light hair, it's called a hair light. Generally though, we just call it backlight. Backlight is light that faces you or the camera. It's so common we don't notice it in real life. If the sun is setting or rising in front of you, you're essentially seeing everything backlit. It happens twice daily, if you're awake to see it, that is. The backlight forms a third and final cog in our three-point lighting system. By the way, a quick tip. If you want to look at a point and ignore the bright stuff in front of you, make a loose fist like this and look through the tiny circle. Check it out. You'll be able to see more. Now back to topic. If you're like me, you might have seen a video or read an article about fill light. When you're on your long walk, ask yourself why nothing is entirely black. You already know why. Your eyes have excellent dynamic range, and even if light hits only one side, it has the ability to fill the shadow side by itself. Now guess what? Cameras can't see as well as our eyes. The best cameras nowadays claim to reach 15 stops of dynamic range, not even close to what our eye can see. So many professionals tend to fill in the shadows with some light. Now you can do this three ways: by actually using a light that's of a lower intensity than the key light, or by reflecting the key light back into the shadows, or by raising the exposure in your camera or post. It doesn't matter how you do it, the goal is to raise the shadows so your camera can see the scene the way your eye can. But in cinematography, you don't need a light for that. Most of the great cinematographers whose work I've covered so far don't use a fill light for fill's sake. They need to see into the shadows for sure, but not by throwing light at it. The fill light is a concept that's come from portrait photography. So if you're coming from a photography background, don't approach cinematography using the same mindset. In cinematography, actors move around, the camera moves, and just by following rigid rules, you're never going to achieve something interesting. So what if the shadows are too dark? What do? Clever cinematographers find another motivated source to justify a fill light. That's our second point in the three-point lighting system. Motivated light can act as fill. So when you're walking around, also ask yourself why you can see into the shadows. Is it because your eyes are adjusting for it, or is there a second light source motivating it? So that's our three-point lighting system: a key light, a second motivated light, and a backlight. All of them are motivated, but only the key light is mandatory. You can make this key light illuminate a face, or turn it around and make it a backlight, or get it to create interesting effects on your actors' faces. Or you can use a second and third light, or even more lights, or add two key lights if you wanted to. Whatever it takes to achieve your vision. Do you understand now? Three-point lighting is just three ideas on what lights are supposed to do. If you can find sufficient motivation for your lights, it'll look good. Otherwise. So please don't think it means that you need 3 or 4 lights or whatever. It doesn't mean you have to use a fill light, a key light, a kicker, or a backlight. Just the opposite. The number of lights that you use are the least important parts of this system. It's just reminding you, remember, you're gonna light the scene. Make sure you know where the key light is coming from, how dark or light you want the shadows to be, and whether you want any more light sources from different directions. All said and done, the three-point lighting system is also a one-point lighting system, a two-point lighting system, or even a 10-point lighting system. This is my understanding of the three-point lighting system. It's rooted in reality. It comes from our natural and artificial spaces. It's not a formula, it's a guide, a helping hand, a starting place. Don't use it like a crutch, or your lighting will look handicapped, uninspired, just like everyone else's. Now, do you want another tip? Then listen carefully. Stop buying lighting kits because they're sold to you as three-point lighting kits. They won't get you very far. How many major cinematographers have you heard of lighting movies with a lighting kit? You can light professionally even with cheap lights and an understanding of light. I've learned to light using cheap lights and DIY tools. I published a free report that shows you the cheap equipment I use. You'll find the link below. Check it out. And never forget, all the beauty on earth is created by one point source of light, our sun. No fancy gear you can buy online can compete against the majesty of what's already there. You want to compete with that? Start respecting light. Get proper guidance and understand that it's just one light hitting us in different ways. A lot of companies make lighting guides to sell you their products, especially by putting beautiful girls in front of the camera. Nothing wrong with that, except when you try to reproduce the same results, you can't. That's why it's so important to know the why, because that's what will help you solve the problem, not any specific light or modifier or tip. I hope this video has given you the why. If you want to practice lighting, start by lighting simple interview setups. One person, one background, and a camera. To help you get started, in a couple of days, I'm going to publish another video, a detailed guide on how I set up a typical interview and light them. I'm going to tackle composition, lighting gear, lenses, cameras, and some other things. I'm not going to hold anything back. Subscribe now to watch that video. Also, don't forget to download your free report by clicking the link below. Bye now.